Like Shane Dawson is really good.
This is
Yeah.
like so next level. Oh my gosh.
Hey everyone, it's Eric Wine. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Today's video is a special treat. I wanted to feature a conversation I had last month with Ashni Christ. Ashni's an awesome creator who helps people succeed on Twitch, grow their streaming community. Today's conversation was all about how tricky it is to share our emotions, our story on YouTube. How can we share ourselves, but in a way that doesn't feel random or distracting from the main topics on our YouTube channel? Today's video, as always, we really get into it with a lot of nuance, a lot of examples. So if you're ready, buckle up, let's get right into it.
So we had a little interesting conversation behind the scenes about balancing being emotional and vulnerable on YouTube, but with also not distracting, off-putting to your audience, right?
Yeah, I'm super excited to talk about that. I was actually just in a meeting with the guys over at vidIQ, and we were kind of talking about like the hero's journey and how important story is. And I brought up your stuff because I was like, if you look at literally any of his videos, yeah, there's 300 views, but the dude has like 70 comments. The engagement is crazy over there. And he's teaching me so much about storytelling and how I can include all of these components that I know are really important in my videos. But it's like I'm this pendulum, right? Like, before I really knew about storytelling and emotion and authenticity and opening up about all of that in my videos, I was just following the standard format that everyone on YouTube talks about, which is like 15-second hook and a 5-second like introduce yourself real fast, tell people what your channel is about, then point number 1, 2, and 3, and then a quick outro and refer them to go watch another video. Yeah. And it just felt like over time that it was so stale, and it was like like you said, I think the analogy was you used was it was like a dictionary. And I was like, yeah, that's totally how it feels, because there's so many channels I go to and you can tell that they prioritize SEO. And I know it's important for my channel. It's 50 to 60% of the ways people find me. But at the same time, I knew that there was this other component that I was really missing that was the me of it. And so what I did was I kind of like, the pendulum was on this side where I was focused so much on search. And I was like, no, that's not what we're doing anymore. And I swung the pendulum to this side and I was like, listen, here's what we talk about. Emotions, my journey, and I just ramble about the stuff that I think matters for the video, and I hope people will like get something out of this. But I went too far, and it still made sense for the video, but I think that it wasn't concise enough to keep people's attention. And so for some people, they watched those videos and they were like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that you're opening up about your emotions like this and your morals like this. I feel closer to you than I ever have before. But then I also got responses from people that were like, you just haven't been able to hold my attention in these last 4 or 5 videos like you have before. And those are the people where I'm like, yeah, okay, so you don't really care about me, you just care about what I can do for you and how I can help you. And I know most people are going to be in that camp, and it's going to take some convincing to get them over to the other camp where they actually care about my emotions and what I'm going through. So what I'm trying to do is figure out the intersection of the two of like, how can I make sure that the people who are there for me and want that emotional side of it are satisfied, but then also how can I make sure that I'm satisfying the people who are like, just give me the information.
This is going to be such a fun conversation. I'm so excited.
Yay!
As you saw from one of my messages, I think it was like,
oh my God, yeah, that Insta message. I was like, whoa. I've never seen a message this long on Instagram.
It takes a lot of intentionality to share your story. There's certain contexts where you're able to share your story and it naturally just fits for you to start bringing up all this personal stuff and your emotions. Like if you have a breakup, right? People hop into one of those like, I just broke up with, videos, and they immediately understand what they're signing up for, that they're going to get emotions dumped on them. They sort of understand what's going on there. But when you do this with your YouTube channel, there's more than just like one event that you're trying to clue the audience into. It's not just a breakup. It's not just your parent. It's this whole arc, right, that you're trying to give people. You can't just say it all. Even if you tried, you wouldn't be able to cover it all. The approach that I have been fascinated by is how different creators are able to give me those glimpses into their life, but where I figure it out and I don't mind that they just went on like a 30-second, 45-second tangent to talk about themselves.
There was a time when I talked about my family, like, and growing up poor. My mom, like, my mom didn't have money to even just buy us a box of macaroni and cheese. Just naturally out of my mouth, I was like, you just want to stop feeling fucking poor for once in your life. And I think that like level of raw and realness like really resonated with people, because it wasn't just me. There were so many people in my audience who feel like that too. What I said in that very first video, I think that was powerful enough to kind of carry me, as opposed to trying to draw out the emotion in every single video and go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper with it. I feel like all of that additional information, all of that additional emotion might have confused some people, even though I thought that it was giving them more clarity because I was talking more about it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the interesting, sometimes we feel if we want to connect with our audience, we need to share more and more and more of our feelings, be vulnerable, be crying on camera, be sharing all these dark sides of ourselves. But in reality, if we pay attention to how an audience processes, for instance, in a TV show, right? You don't connect with a character or find them compelling because they're just losing it in every single scene. They go talk to their mom and they're crying, and then they go to the grocery store and they're crying. That's that's not the reason you connect with the character. The reason you connect with the character is because the writers have set up different scenes that bring out different sides of the person or pull them in different directions. And then you go, oh my gosh, like I would feel trapped in that situation, or I would feel limited or confused in that situation. You indirectly see their conflict and then you feel for them. A lot of times you can get a lot of feeling resonating with the person, even if they're not crying all the time, or even if they're not being vulnerable all the time. Like Shane Dawson is really good at this. Shane Dawson, if you see his content, you cannot help feeling for him. But it's because he really does a insanely good job setting the context of like, even when the crazy stuff is happening around him, he then literally will go to a different room and then be like, guys, oh my gosh, this is happening to me. Like, this is really meaningful to me because of this. Like, I never thought that this was going to happen. But, he like gives people some context, and then he literally like walks out of the room and you see him bouncing around in this other crazy environment. Like, oh my gosh, that guy is now being confronted with, like, we're seeing him play out in different scenes. And then as soon as something comes up that we might not understand his past or what's meaningful to him, he then like takes us aside again and is like crying in the bathroom or like sitting on the floor confused or something. And he's like, I just never thought this was... Like, he sets context again. And sometimes it's not just crying, it's being anxious, stressed, overwhelmed, confused, wanting a guide, there's all these feelings that we as human beings have that are more than just our past or backstory. It's way more complicated than that. We as an audience pick up on feeling and story a lot more when it feels really essential, or when the context is set up really well. So as I said, with the breakup videos, we can hop in and out of that really easily because we know the context really easily. But if it's like your backstory, right, and upbringing and struggling with money, that is something where you streaming on Twitch there's like a couple steps that you have, a couple extra steps you have to jump before they're like, oh, it makes sense for her to be talking about money and her past and all this sort of stuff, right?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to use the hero's journey for, was so that like people could understand why I wanted to start talking about business and making money online, because they knew why it mattered to me. And so that was kind of like the goal, hoping to like not alienate the people who wanted me to just talk about stream growth, and then make it make sense for them, while also starting to try and appeal to this new group of people too.
It's fascinating how little it takes for someone to feel connected to you. Sometimes it's not a 2-minute story. Sometimes it's not a 30-second story. It's like one sentence that if it just is said right and at the right time, they will immediately, instinctively understand so much more about your past. For instance, like Gary Vee. Gary Vee is an interesting example. Gary Vee, we know so much random crap about his past, right? But it doesn't feel like we ever had a story time with Gary Vee where he's like, guys, let me lay it all out for you. This is what happened in my past. This is what happened in my past. This is what happened in my past, right? It's always been like snuck in there with these little sound bites, right?
Yeah.
We just picked up on the wine store and the live, whatever. And it's because, one, he's really efficient with cluing us into his past. So for instance, like him wanting to buy the jets, the only person who would want to buy the jet, like that already clues us into his values so quickly, and like his vision and ethics and all this sort of stuff. Just him literally saying he wants to buy the jets. He knows he's going to buy the jets. He's really efficient in demonstrating his values. He doesn't care about the money. He just wants as many people to show up to his funeral as possible, right? Like he's so good at making these extremely strong statements that communicate his values. But if you look at it in terms of a time length, in terms of a vulnerability length, it wasn't actually that vulnerable or sad. It was super quick. He literally said it just like offhandedly, right? So one thing I've been paying attention to is maybe it's not actually about the story, but setting up scenes where we can have opportunities to give glimpses into our story, right? Sometimes we can share our story and it feels so real to us, but it doesn't translate to them, right? Like that scene in your head of your mom not being able to pay for the mac and cheese and how real that is. Anyone else who has also experienced something like that can see that scene in their head. But maybe someone who is like 2 steps removed from that situation, it's harder for them to jump in. So setting up contexts where you'll get opportunities to go show those glimpses is something I've been really paying attention to. Like with Gary Vee, he purposely shows his conversations with other creators all the freaking time of him helping other people. Whenever people ask him a question, he then has the opportunity to just throw it in. If you have a side that you want to show, like an analytical side or a business side or a more vulnerable side, it's really impactful for the creator to actually be intentional or almost strategic about setting up context where they're going to have the opportunity to show that side. Like it feels so natural for him to talk about his parents, or like when he's like, there was a time when like I had to carry the wine to the car of some people I went to high school with, and I was loading the wine into their car and they were laughing at me. And he was like, I didn't care because I knew that I was going to win in the end. The reason that came up was because some 18-year-old asked him about patience, or asked him about self-esteem, or asked him about confidence, or asked him about...
Oh yeah, that's great.
So it was natural for him to bring that up. It wasn't just like, hey guys, I want to let you know I'm a real person too, blah, 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 He doesn't ever do that. He just throws in these glimpses and you're like, oh, I get it. So just like Shane Dawson shapes his little documentaries to set scenes to explain what's going on with him, I think we as creators need to be more creative about what formats we present ourselves in. Mm-hmm. Because maybe the how-to instructional videos are not the easiest way to share our story. Yeah. Then that means we need to think of other ways that we can also be teaching, helping, serving, but where it's more natural for us to sprinkle some more of our humanity in.
It does make me think of like Peter McKinnon's channel, right? Mm-hmm. He has his how-to videos, but then he also has like his vlogs, and then he also has, so his vlogs are like, get to know me. It kind of fulfills that need. His how-to is here, let me help you. And then his like filmmaker, and then he has his reviewing your photos or critiquing your photos stuff. So what he's doing is helping people build their skills, and that's like his community-centric content. And then he also has his filmmaker reacts stuff, which is like him creating a character out of himself, a personality out of himself.
Right.
So he's kind of like hitting all of these different pieces where he has the how-to. So that's his search. That's how he like throws himself out into pulling more viewers in. But then he also nurtures those viewers through his relationship building vlogs, and he creates a community out of them through the reviews, and he has the filmmaker reacts. So people that just want to see more of his information get that with his personality. Exactly. So it's like he's like fulfilling all of those different needs. And I don't know, it's almost like I feel like I need to find a way to do that. Like, how can I make myself as the character? How can I create a community? How can I make how-to videos? And how can I make like more vlog style stuff, but how can I make it all feel cohesive? Because I think once you start to create all these different styles of content, it's so easy to lose track of like just, yeah, it's so hard to make it all seem like it fits together.
Right. I think Peter McKinnon actually, he has fragmented his content a lot in a way where he can pull it off because he's so charismatic. Like even if he's doing something where nothing really happens, he himself can make it so entertaining that it works. But for most of us, it doesn't work for us to separate it out like that. Okay, so first, it takes a lot of freaking creativity on our end to make this happen, which is why I like studying these creators who are doing something really bizarre or different. Whenever I emotionally connect with them, I'm like, wait, how did that happen? How did you do that? How did you do that? The danger is where we think we have to separate it out. These are the vlogs, these are the travel videos, these are the instructional videos. It's like, there's gotta be a way where you can take that tiny piece that's exciting about the travel or the personal side of the vlogs and the teaching of the instructional videos and make this weird mutant hybrid thing.
Yeah. So I do feel like there's another channel that does this really well, I would say, is I think I've talked to you about her before, is Erin on Demand. She has the more how-to kind of stuff, but somehow she's able to have this like variety in her content. And I feel like that variety is really important, but making it all feel cohesive and make sense is way more important, because there are certain people who are going to like a specific style, and I think we'll notice that like that's kind of the style that props up our channels. And then there are some other things that, yeah, they don't get the viewership, but they're there to kind of build out the picture of the experience for people. Okay, let's say I pull the cool stuff about the vlog, which is seeing the behind the scenes. And then I pull the cool stuff of the how-to, which is like teaching people. Trying to put both of those together can be super powerful. But if I were to do all of my videos as that like vlog how-to style, I think people need more variety than that potentially. I might be completely wrong. You're the expert.
More variety. More variety in what sense? As
in like maybe for some videos it makes sense that it's not that specific
hybrid muted.
Yeah, hybrid. Like maybe for some of them it should just be how-to, or for some of them it should just be a vlog. And knowing like what message I want to give people and the format that I want to give it in that makes it more powerful as a message, I think is a skill that I just don't have right now.
I think if there was one thing that matters most in terms of the through line, it should be your mission. People pay attention to how you make them feel.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, like people might be coming to your content because you always make them feel like they have a new option, or they feel understood or heard, or you're sharing a perspective that they're not used to. If you can keep a mission consistent in your content, people are actually willing to go on these weird rides with you. But they need to know that you're going to deliver on that feeling every single time. For instance, like for me, I really want to share perspective, and I want it to be a lot about self-awareness and how we can communicate ourselves better or open up new opportunities for...
You do that in every video. Every video that I watch, I'm like, how is this so good?
But that is super consistent, right? So there's no video where you don't have like a thinking. It's very thinking turning point oriented. It doesn't matter if I'm walking outside, if we're having a conversation like this, if I'm sharing something more on the inspirational, motivational side, I always try to tie it back to that one through line, because I know that that's what people are actually signing up for. They say that they're connected to you as a human being, which is true, they are. But at the same time, like if I just showed a vlog of me hanging out with my family, they are not gonna connect.
They don't care. Yeah,
they do not care. So like maybe some will care, but they don't. Like so what
they don't, because it's not like relevant for them.
Exactly.
Right? Like they're like, this is cool, but it doesn't do anything to improve their lives.
Right. So what you really need to pay attention to is, are you giving them that feeling that they're signing up for? Are you giving them that help that they're signing up for? And it doesn't matter if you package it in a blog style, travel, instructional, whatever. But if you're giving them that ingredient, they will be down. They will not feel that anything is off. It's just like with Gary Vee or Casey Neistat, right? You just like know what you're gonna feel like after you watch one of their pieces of content. It doesn't matter if it's a public speaking clip or he's video chatting with someone. You know Gary Vee is going to like destroy your excuses. He's going to be super aggressive. He's going to sort of motivate or inspire, or like that hustle thing. He's going to be very loud about that. And that's the feeling you're signing up for. You're not signing up for him sitting in a chair being like, guys, I'm feeling sensitive today. You know, like, no.
You know who's really good about that is Elle Mills.
Yes.
Every single one of her videos, I'm like, oh, like crying at the end of it, because she's the master of turning this story into this like deep emotion, this thing that is just like so raw and real, and like you don't even know that she's doing it throughout the video, right? Until it gets to the very end and she hits you with this just massively crazy thing. And she does this like montage where she kind of like wraps up all these different pieces that she's weaving, and then at the very end she wraps them all up together, and you're just mind blown thinking like, wow, this is what this was actually gonna mean. Holy crap, that's like, and you can watch every single one of her videos. They all do that.
Get that.
Every single one.
They're always so relatable. And she also has such a creativity in how she ties random pieces together and shows meaning or gets you inside of her head.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's not just going to be a sitting video. I mean, if you've seen her notes for her videos, she literally sets up act 1, act 2, act 3 for every single video.
I haven't seen that, does she? Oh
yeah,
my God.
Does. So
that's so cool.
Which is why they have that thing, that energy. That's what we actually subscribe to. I want to watch this creator because they always make something so relatable, and it's always so creative, and it's always packaged in a way where I have that aha, oh, this is how it ties together. In that sense, if you identify that secret ingredient, that mission, that core through line that people are coming to your content for, figuring out now how to package that in a lot of different containers, right? It's like, oh, today it's in this size cup, this day it's in a little micro content, this day it's in a video chat, you know.
That's so you blow my mind every time we talk. I swear. I freaking swear, because that has me thinking about like what is it that what's the emotion that I really leave people with? And even for those channels, like let's say Vanessa Lau, Sunny Leonard Juicy, or those people who they kind of have a storyline because they are the storyline, you know? It's like their journey from being this person who wants to be their own boss, and then they become it, and then now they're like very successful, and what are they going to do now? That type of story is still really good. But if I think of like the emotions that I have when I watch their videos, it's always me thinking about my future strategically, and like how I'm gonna like be, too. Yeah, it's like, how am I gonna be this like badass boss babe that with this information that I now have? And I guess that's a thing I've never thought about with my videos, is like because I've heard you say this in your videos before. I've heard you say like, think about the emotion that people are getting from your content. And I kind of took that as like, okay, so in this video, we'll just make them laugh. Or in this video, I'm going to make them connect with me emotionally. Or in this video, like, I just want them to experience some kind of emotion just in general in every single one. But now it just has so much more context in that every single video basically serves this like emotion that you're selling to people, that you're like just packaging up in different ways.
100%. It's like, actually, like, taste is probably a better like adjective to describe it, right? You
it's like how your smoothie tastes.
No, I mean, like, seriously, like it's a much more like instinctive, like you might not be able to describe it. Yeah. But you're like, I want that. You know, it's like,
this YouTube smoothie analogy, I swear. This is like so next level. Oh my gosh. It's so perfect to describe like all these different pieces of YouTube. Yeah. Oh, how did you even do this? You're ridiculous.
Content creation is a long-term thing. It's not like a TV show where you have one season, you've got 8 episodes. It's your continual like story for years and years and years. You're making a TV show, but people are jumping in at different episodes, like out of nowhere. Coming back to those core things, right? What do my videos feel like? Is the mission clear? Those things are probably what I pay attention to the most.
It's so good. Like mission, identity, and emotion. It's not SEO. It's not thumbnail. It's not title. Like, those things are still important, still good common practices, but this deeper stuff, I think, is the stuff which is why I love your channel, and I always tell people to go and watch it, because I think learning the SEO portion of everything is so freaking easy. Something in your head kind of like goes off and you're like, there's definitely more to this, because I'm seeing these channels that don't use SEO at all and they're popping off and they're doing way better than me. So what is it? What are those components that are underneath? They're like the secret. That's kind of like when you pull back the curtain, these are the things that actually matter. And that's the stuff that you're giving people. And thank you so much. This is, every time that we talk, I'm like taking notes the entire time.
No, it's so fun talking to you.
Sharing who we are on YouTube, fostering that connection, that understanding, it's not a one-time thing. It's something that's built, communicated over a long period of time and with a lot of practice. How can we share that context, those glimpses into our identity, mission, values, passions? I hope today's video gave you some ideas on how you can sprinkle more of that in and build more of that connection with your audience. Thank you guys so much for watching all the way to the end. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button with the notification bell if you want more in-depth content helping you with your YouTube storytelling. If you're curious what the content smoothie is and need help figuring out your YouTube niche, you probably want to start right here. You are the change maker of your own life. Let's think more deeply. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace, peace. Bye.